Yo, it's been a while. We're back with episode 30 of the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. We took a little bit of time to revamp. So, guess what? We're looking a little different. My name is Deeb.
My name is Scott.
Let's do this.
Pat McAfee said today we got our guy.
How many sixth stringers would it take to beat LeBron James in a game? Ready for the ultimate sleepers?
Shador Sanders went number 144 in the draft. Hey, yo, look at new intro video, new season of life, and the Single Barrel Sports Podcast is back, episode 30. We've got some changes, as Deeb mentioned here, and we're going to definitely talk about all that. But before we dive into that, what an exciting time to be a sports fan. We are in August. A lot of things are about to start kicking back off again. We've been in a season where we've primarily just had baseball and golf, and I am just freaking excited to get back to talking sports and to catching up with you, Deeb. But I think we got some stuff that we, have been working on that we're ready to share. So, what's up with you, man? What's new with life? It's been a month since we've had an intro catch-up chat on the podcast, and just catch me up, man. How are things?
Yeah, I'm super excited, man. As you had mentioned, we'll get a little bit into the details of the refresh, and I know you and I have certainly been in contact, so it's not like we haven't talked in a month or anything, but things have been pretty good overall. It's been pretty productive. I feel like summer is always one of those where I know I've talked about this in the past. There's all these, side hustle projects or just things that you get into, and for me, I feel like a lot of time has been spent generally speaking, spending some more time outdoors when it's not too hot. It kind of gets a little warmer here and around this time, but football has ramped up. So I've definitely enjoyed getting more involved with preseason football. So, summer, we have 7-on-7s, we have team camps. We're about to go into pads, which kind of sounds crazy because, our first game is actually only a few weeks away here and they're just getting into pads. But that's, kind of just some of the, I think, fun stuff that I've been involved in. And then other than that, just, hanging out with the wife, and the dog and seeing family, going to birthday parties. It's been a enriching summer. Let's put it that way.
Hell yeah. It sounds like a hell of a summer. And I'm envious about the football coaching. That is on my radar sometime here in the future, but definitely looking forward to following along with the journey that you have there, especially when the games kick off. We've been hitting the ground running here too. It's been a busy but really fun and exciting summer for us. For those who maybe haven't watched before, I have a young child. He's about 15 to 16 months, and one of the exciting things lately is he's gotten these new balls to play with. So he's got like a soccer ball and a football and a baseball, and he's already been really big into little basketballs. And he's been a lot of fun, man. He's like kicking the soccer ball around the room, and if we hand him a football, he like takes off running, and he started to spike the football, which is really cool. So it's been a lot of fun. We've had our own travels, both separately and together with my wife and I. So been a busy summer. Certainly work. I work at a university, as you know, and
Yeah.
typically in the summer times that means things slow down. But this year, with my role that I have at my new job, was not the case. It actually got much busier. But I think the cool thing to share, man, and I know we've kind of talked a little bit about this, but I set up a bit of a home gym about a month and a half ago,
Hmm.
and been very consistent, 3 to 4 days a week, which is 3 to 4 days more than I was doing before that. And I feel stronger. I'm lifting heavier, and I've lost about 7 pounds, which is really cool. It's
Nice.
nothing super crazy, but I'm pretty happy to be passively losing a little weight while I'm also gaining some muscle again. And it's been about a year went by without me really being physically active, so it's been nice
Hmm.
to kind of get that back in my life, and we'll keep working at it. I got plenty more to go, but feeling good, shedding a few pounds of that dad bod.
Yeah. No, good for you, man. I know you and I've kind of talked about it, and I think we kind of went back and forth on some of the equipment, kind of you were looking for some recommendations. I know those adjustable dumbbell things are pretty nice, once you get used to them and the feel of them. So that's really awesome. I know you guys have had a pretty busy summer as well overall. And I know, just generally speaking, a few months ago, we were talking about Parker dunking on the basketball hoop. So it doesn't surprise me that he's getting involved in or interested, I guess, in other sports as well based on his dad's interests as well.
Yeah, and obviously, we'll follow wherever his path takes us, but man, I really hope that he stays excited about sports. It'll be a lot more fun, I think, for me to share things that I'm passionate about with him. But yeah, I don't know. Those are dad wins. I've been happy. It's been a good summer.
Well, maybe he'll be a podcast host or he can take over for you sometime soon.
When I'm in the old man home.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, it's been really fun. You want to talk a little bit about our month of projects? We can kind of give people a brief update here before we get into some sports.
Yeah, yeah. We mentioned at our season finale that we called it about a month and a half ago that we would still be meeting regularly. We just wouldn't be doing full length episode podcasts. And if you guys watched the Open Championship, maybe you saw some of our content. We did meet with Andrew with what was supposed to be a short video, ended up being damn near a long full episode on it, but it was a great discussion. But behind the scenes, we've been working on a lot of things. We have a new recording platform that we're using here. And with that, we have some new vocals, some new visuals that you can see. So things look a little bit different on the screen. We've done some work to kind of try and spice up some of the activities, the things that we talk about, and maybe the orders that we do them in or ways that we engage with our short form content. But I think one of the most fun things is that, it gave us a chance to see what was working, what it was still exciting for us, what things we might want to do in the future. And Deeb, I'm looking at your hat right now, and perhaps that's one of the biggest updates that we have. If you guys can see the video portion of the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
we released some merch. So, Deeb, you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, definitely. Before I talk about the merch, just want to say, yeah. So, I think one of the things that you and I talked about at the end of last season was there was a lot of ideas that we came up with in the very beginning of this podcast, but we just really wanted to get something kickstarted and going, and we wanted to be consistent, right? So we kind of had a couple of goals that we wanted to meet, and I believe that we did meet those according to our initial discussions. And so I think it was nice to step away to be able to then talk through and, basically focus on like what are the changes and updates we want to make. And that includes look and that includes merch and some other things that we'll share with you all throughout, the next few weeks to months. So merch was one of the projects that we have been talking about for a while, and I do have to give our fans credit and listeners and friends credit because it really wasn't something that was high up on the priority list, at least I think for us. But we kept getting asked about it. People kept asking us, hey, do you have merch? Are you guys going to launch merch? And so it was a topic that I think continued to come up. And so then we moved it up the list in terms of like, what do we want to do for the refresh? So we set up a merch store. You can find the merch store. We're gonna have it in a couple different places, but it's essentially the easiest way to find it is if you go to our website, which is singlebarrelsports.com, and you will now be able to find the live merch store. So there is some items in there right now. It's still kind of generally, I would say, under construction, right? We're still going to be adding things, and we're going to be continue expanding and take feedback. And so that's, I think, where we're going to be looking for people to give us that feedback. But we have some hats. We have, maybe we can show them the shirts. Pretty cool. They say, come for the sports, stay for the bourbon. So we even got a new tagline that we came up with. And so you'll find a few items in there. But what are your thoughts on the merch so far?
Well, first of all, it's very exciting to just have the brand on some apparel, and it's even more exciting that people have asked about it. I think it looks clean. It looks really good. And I think my biggest pitch that I will share about the merch is that it is a continual work in progress. So we do have a store open right now. It has about 8 items in it or so. Some variations of hats, shirts, koozies, things like that are in there. But that will be updated regularly. So if there are requests, maybe certain types of clothing or different things that you want our logo on, laptop stickers or whatever that could look like, feel free to let us know. We want to provide product that people are interested in, but it also won't be a stale product. So, if you look again in a couple of months, there will be different items in there. Probably we will pull some items off. We will add some items, but certainly the list of items will get longer and longer. So if you guys are interested in merch, check out our website, singlebarrelsports.com, click that merch store tab on there, and then start shopping, and we will keep adding.
Yeah, and the other thing I was gonna mention too is, I think it'd be really cool to do some special releases from time to time, because we do episodes like the Masters and, we've done some special releases like, what was the wrestling one you guys did?
Yeah, WrestleMania. Yep.
WrestleMania. So, we might even come through and drop some, special merch for those and kind of have some limited edition type stuff. So, we're looking forward to pairing it with, some of the sporting events and things that happen. And then the only other thing that I'll mention, and I know you and I talked about this, Scott, is, we're I think part of this for the merch as well is for individuals who are willing and able to support through buying those items. Just know that the money that is spent there is reinvested right back into the podcast. So for you and I think, obviously we do it, incur, it's not a ton of cost, but we do obviously incur some costs in order to run this. And so I think our main goal right now is just to take whatever support it is we're getting from individuals who like and want the merch and reinvesting it right back in to continue to make updates and improvements to the pod.
Yeah, and I will echo that and just add to it that if you like the merch, buy it. If you don't like the merch, let us know what you don't like about it or what type of merch you want, and we'll add it. We want to make sure that there's stuff out there that you are interested in, and not that you're just funneling money thinking that it's going to help us out. We care more about you enjoying the product. It's some just icing on the cake that it might help to offset a little bit of the cost that we put into the podcast, but the cost is definitely not the biggest priority here.
Yeah, for sure. We already mentioned our website, singlebarrelsports.com. For anybody that's new out there or joining us for the first time, welcome. We have a ton of different things on there, a ton of different social media activity. YouTube and Spotify is where you're going to find the full length episodes. And, if you feel like we're doing a great job and you want to, again, support in a way that's free, that subscribe or follow button is always super appreciated. Other than that, Scott, you ready to talk sports?
Yeah, I think so. And right before we dive in, if there are newcomers here, since this is kind of a new season of sports that we're about to enter, just to let you know what Single Barrel Sports Podcast is about. We are everyday casual sports fans that enjoy talking about game. We have seasonal focuses, so we're about to hit where the big headlines in sports are going to be very football related. So you're going to see a lot more football coming up here, but we have covered really everything between hockey and basketball and golf and wrestling and MMA. And so there's a little bit of flavor for everybody, but just know that in certain seasons, we might be heavier on some content than others. And we're kind of entering one of those that's going to be maybe geared a little bit more towards NFL and college football. If that's not your thing, that doesn't mean that you can't watch us forever because, several months down the road, we'll be talking about something else.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. Let's kick things off with a familiar sports term of the week.
Yeah, this was a fan request that became a staple in the podcast here, where we talk about an ambiguous term. And Deep, what is our term this week, and what does it mean?
Yeah, so this one is in relation to the sport of football, generally speaking. It could maybe apply other places, but the term is hold in. So, Scott, have you ever heard of hold in and what does
I
it
have
mean?
actually heard of hold in.
Okay.
It's much less frequently talked about than hold out, but I understand the concept here. I'm happy to try and answer the question.
Yeah.
So hold out or hold in, they kind of relate to when players are not happy with their contract situation. They're trying to get a bigger, more money or a longer term deal or both.
Yeah.
Um, Hold out, a more common phrase is that the team doesn't report or the player doesn't report to the team. A hold in is when a player actually does report to their training camp, but they refuse to fully participate in that training camp while they're still negotiating. And that can be for a variety of reasons. Maybe they don't want to have an injury that might hinder their ability to negotiate. Maybe they feel disrespected, whatever that might be, or maybe they want to be traded. But the hold in is kind of a newer concept to avoid penalties and fines.
Mm.
And especially in the NFL, I know lately that the NFL fines have gone up for players that don't actually report to the team. I don't know if you want to add to that. I know there's some current holdouts or hold ins that are currently happening, Deep, but how'd I do on answering the question first? And then feel free to add to it.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to realize that there is a difference between a hold in and a hold out. So I'm glad that you explained what the difference is between those. So, I mean, in an essence, they're essentially it's a weird concept if you really break it down, right? Because in an essence, you are reporting to training camp and you're refusing to fully participate. So, like, think about that from a real world perspective. Like, imagine if you went to your day job and you were like, I'm basically just going to show up and kind of participate in my job, which I'm sure there are people who do this. So
Like,
doesn't
I'm gonna
surprise
reply
me.
to yeah, I'm gonna reply to emails, but I'm not attending any meetings.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yep. So I don't know. It is an interesting concept. It's almost kind of like a way around, like, hey, I don't want to get fined, but I'm also kind of going to be a pain in the butt for people. But what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think it's fair to do this hold in, or do you think it should just be like you're either holding out or nothing?
Well, that you know what? That's a loaded question there. In my opinion, you're either in or you're out. So I think hold in is a stupid thing
Hmm.
that is just gonna cause more. I don't know what the word is, arbitration. I think that's going to create more rules around fines, where then the hold in will then start to get you fined as well. I get it. These players, they want to get a long term deal before they risk having some sort of injury that could potentially end their career or reduce the value of their future contracts. The hard thing for me to really process, though, is these players sign contracts for X number of years, and then they do these holdouts or hold ins when they're entering the last year, usually, of their contract.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like they're not really fulfilling their obligation of the contract. They said that they would play for X number of years at that salary rate. They're trying to get a pay raise that last year and also add years to the contract instead of kind of fulfilling the contract that they initially signed. So, on a morality standpoint, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like you're not really holding up your end of the bargain as the player. But at the same time, some of these deals, 4 or 5 year deal, and then all of a sudden the player is either way better or way worse. They never negotiate a holdout to get a lower salary if they've played worse. But if they've played better, they try and get more money and a longer deal before there's a risk that their production goes down. Um, so morally, it feels a little weird, but at the same time, if someone had a season-ending injury in the last year of their contract with no guaranteed money, then they make no money from that career for the rest of their life. So
Mm,
I get it. I just think as the fans are the ones who lose in that situation,
yeah.
especially because usually when these players finally do come back, they don't produce like they normally do, at least for the first few games, because they've missed kind of those reps in that practice in the offseason.
Yeah. No, very definitely an interesting concept. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think from a kind of general perspective, you're either in or you're out, from a sport perspective. Like I even think about, right now, like coaching high school football. I mean, let's like, with players that are gonna hold out, or hold it, like, not even hold in, but like they're either gonna play or they're not. It just creates this kind of weird atmosphere with the team. People are unsure. They're missing, people are missing time. I mean, a little bit different with when you're a pro, right? Like clearly you're at a level that you can just step in and be pretty good from from a skill perspective, but very interesting concept. So I figured it would be relevant to some of the preseason things that are happening right now with football.
Yeah, and there's some big names out there. Terry McLaurin is requested a trade because he hasn't gotten a new long-term deal. Micah Parsons just recently requested a trade.
Mhm.
I think Brandon Ayuk might even be doing one of these situations, even though he literally just did this last year and got a deal last year and then got hurt. So
Yep.
I'm really confused why he wants more money when he just went through this and then didn't produce anything. But hey, that's the NFL for you.
Yeah. Well, we do have the weekly recap that's making a return as well here, but we're going to do this a little bit differently moving forward. And so we're going to start with a person that you just mentioned. So, how timely. This is more of like a player story that's going on or unfolding. So, Micah Parsons, right? It's somebody that you had just literally mentioned about having some of this behavior. Well, more recently, and we're bringing this up because it is a very recent thing that just came up, is apparently he wants to be traded from the Cowboys. And he's a pretty young player. He hasn't. I think he's really only been in the league for 4 years, from what I saw. So
Mhm.
He's not a seasoned guy, but he is a very impactful player. I took a look at some of his just kind of general statistics, and I mean, the guy is pretty crazy if he continues on. I think the pathway that he's been on so far with just how he's been producing with them. But there's a few things that we want to talk about. So, number one, he posted a tweet out there. It's a really long tweet. It's like one of those, iPhone note things where the players write about it. But he talks about how he wants to be a cowboy. He's done everything that he could to become a cowboy and wear the star. He talks about his dad and how he grew up cheering for, um, you know, something about Pennsylvania, which I don't really know what that has to do with cowboys, but and then he just kind of goes on to talk about how he doesn't want to be there anymore and he doesn't want to be, held to the door in negotiations and his agent can't be present. So number one, I would say, what is your reaction so far? And we can go into some of the other details that have unfolded, but what is your general reaction to seeing his note and just kind of hearing about his trade request so far?
It's a my initial impression is this is a common Cowboys L. Um, Jerry Jones, for as historic as he is and how much he, is notable and well known in the league, he plays owner and general manager of that team, which is never really a good thing in my opinion because the general manager can't be worried about the overall profitability of the team as well.
Hmm.
And so in this case, you got Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players in the league. He has earned one of these pay increases. Again, we talk about this. I mean, he's had crazy good production. He's
Mhm.
earned the right to be paid among the elite in the defensive side of the football. And so that's his mentality here. And I happen to agree with him. The thing that's crazy is that this happens every year with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Last year, I think it was CD Lamb. They went right up before the regular season started and then finally paid him. Now we're seeing the same thing with Micah. But instead of having that patience, Micah's just saying, no, you know what? Forget it. I want out. And the thing about this is Micah Parsons is not the kind of player that comes around very often. It's a
Mhm.
huge loss if they let him go. Like you said, he's played for 4 seasons. He's had double digit sacks all 4 years. Last year, he only played 13 games and he still had 12 sacks, which is a pretty crazy statistic.
Yeah.
He technically is a linebacker, but he can also line up at defensive end. He's fast and he's big. He has a nonstop motor. I mean, this guy plays hard every down. There's
Mhm.
no reason that you don't want to build a team around a guy like this. And it feels like it's a negotiation tactic of drawing out the contract talks to try and get them to accept a lower deal. And I think that is where the players are fed up and they're like, okay, screw it, trade me, send me to somebody else who wants me.
Yeah. Yep. I want to show this image real quick here from it's a tweet, I believe, and I think it's from CD Lamb. And he tweeted this pretty recently. Says, "Never fails, dog. Just pay the man what you owe him. No need for the extracurricular." And as you mentioned, he's another guy that has gone through this same almost scenario, right? Where he was in kind of a similar scenario with contract negotiations, waiting till the last minute, holdouts, all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting. I mean, I think you were correct. Like, and some of this is, I think sometimes guys that get into the league, like a lot of it becomes about money. A lot of it becomes about comparing, like I'm not getting paid as much as this guy. I should be
Mhm.
paid the top, I should be the top dog. So like sometimes I feel like it can get a little bit out of hand, but if you have the play to back up your pay that you're asking, I think that you're in the right. Like Micah Parsons is solid. He is a really high performing defensive player. I mean, this guy, like you said, he can be a star on almost any team out there. So anybody is probably like would be love to have this guy on their team. And
Open
so
arms, man. Open
yeah,
arms.
and
They're just ready to wrap him up in a hug.
yeah, and so it's kind of one of those where you're like, I don't know that he's trying to play a pissing match, with the situation. I think he's just looking at his value and saying, I deserve to be paid better because I've been performing, and I'm going to continue to perform. And you do need to value me, as if you do care about me and how I am currently playing or will play in the future.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, they just went through this last year with Dak and CD Lamb. They gave them both long-term big deals, and eventually, when you do that with enough players, it's like, well, you can't do that because the money runs out eventually, right? So
Hmm.
some of these teams back themselves into a corner. But with Micah Parsons, he's a generational talent, and this seems like a no-brainer. You find a way to do it, and if you have to take a hit somewhere else, then you just take that hit somewhere else.
Yeah. And speaking of, teams that would be willing to pay for Micah Parsons, there was a tweet, I think it was from Fox NFL. Let me show the image here from that of the rumored teams that may pay for a Micah Parsons trade. So
Ooh.
we have the Chargers, Jets, Ravens, Commanders, Raiders, Bills, Bears. So if you're looking at this list, number one, I mean, where do you think and you can't use your bias of the Bills. Let's start with that. Where do you think he fits the best in terms of, you know, maybe his style or who would need him the most out of this group? Where do you think he fits from
When
the
I look
best
at this
perspective?
list, I think if you add him to the Baltimore Ravens, that they're a Super Bowl team right away. Like, full stop. I think they become the best team in the league. You add him to their team. They're already pretty solid defensively, and they have one of the best offenses in the whole league.
Mhm.
And if you add a superstar to that defense, it just really solidifies to where the offense can actually make some mistakes and they'll still win football games. I think the teams that could benefit the most from him, I'm not going to talk about the Jets, they're irrelevant. I'll say the Bears and the Raiders could probably really benefit. They've had some really good off seasons. They've added a lot of talent and made themselves a lot more competitive. And I think if one of those two teams were to add Micah Parsons, watch out because they could all of a sudden be competing for division titles then.
Yeah. I like the Commanders. I think
Mhm.
they were a surprise team last year and just in general. And so to take somebody like Micah Parsons and add him to that defense of a team that was, hot and has some momentum, I mean, that could really be a game changer for a team that has, kind of an uprising and a young quarterback and all that. But yeah, I agree with some of the things that you mentioned with the other teams. I mean, both the Ravens and the Bills, I'll say it for you. If the Bills get him, like, they're probably gonna be in the Super Bowl unless there's some weird call, that happens, but,
Well, and you look at the Chargers too. They got Jim Harbaugh there. He's a defensive kind of head coach,
yeah.
and they just drafted a talented running back. I mean, he could fit in the mold there and give them that kind of ground and pound with a strong defense type of feel like he had at Michigan. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of options there that I think make sense. Be really curious to see what happens. But if he goes to the Commanders, what a kick in the nards for Terry McLaurin, who's been trying to get paid there.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also requesting a trade now. Like, it would be kind of wild if they paid Micah Parsons, but they didn't pay Scary Terry.
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships, though.
With you.
So, I don't know. Um, alright, so, moving into a different topic. So we started out with, this Micah Parsons. Another kind of player story is taking us to golf. So PGA Tour, as some of you know, we've covered various majors and such and throughout the year. But this past week, what happened, Scott? Something kind of epic happened for one of the players on the tour.
Yeah, and actually, this is a really fun moment for me because as some of you who followed along know, we play in a fantasy golf league and we're in the playoffs, and I actually made the playoffs barely, which was a really cool surprise for me. And I chose Cam Young this weekend on my team in the playoffs, and he earned his first PGA Tour victory at the Wyndham Championship this weekend. And it's a big deal for him because he's been a runner up and a competitor many times. I think 7 times I read that he's been second place
Hmm.
in his PGA career. And in 93 starts, this is the first time that he actually won. And another really crazy fact that I saw was that he was the 1000th unique winner, I think, on the PGA Tour
Yeah.
on an event. So just a random fact out there, but um, he made it look easy. I mean, he was up by 5 strokes coming into Sunday. He was ahead after day one, and then he never lost his lead the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And he even bogeyed, I think, 2 out of his last 3 holes, and he still won, I wanna say, by 5 strokes at least. It was crazy. It was a really, really big turnout for him, and He delivered.
Yeah, talk about a guy who has it's been a long time coming, right? I mean, Cam Young is not that old in terms of his career, just generally speaking, but as you had mentioned, and he's been so close many times. This guy has been really impressive from the get-go of him getting his card and turning pro. He's been competitive in a few of the majors. You know, I think that that's kind of one thing that people have noted about him as well. And as you had mentioned, he he's kind of an interesting guy, like, you know, his personality is a little bit different. I don't know if you saw any of the interviews with him, but he was honestly like they had an interview with him after he won. He was like, "I don't know what to do because I like this hasn't happened to me before." So he's like, "I kind of just am lost right now." Like he just had like a kind of an interesting, almost like emotionless reaction, and then you kind of saw the emotions come out, I think, you know, as he realized like this is real, and it really happened to me.
Yeah, and I think one of the crazy things to mention here, Deeb, and we talked about this way back on the podcast, but he had to play in the qualifiers to make the US Open this year. Do you remember that? And he
Mhm.
ended up winning his qualifier to make that major. So talk about a comeback story from a guy who almost didn't even make a major to then winning an event. And it actually catapulted him up. He's now in 16th place in the FedEx Cup rankings.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about the playoffs later in the show today. But
Yep.
that puts him in a really competitive position in the playoffs now compared to where he was a week ago.
Yeah, and I just looked up real quick because I was curious about his some a little bit of his statistics. So he has placed in the top 10 23 times. And this is his first win, and it says he has won approximately $20,642,000 with those
Jeez.
statistics, which is crazy because again, this is his first win. So, I mean, he's been up there, as you can tell, he's
Mhm.
been playing pretty well to win that much money in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. And for those following along, the fantasy golf playoffs, our season ends this coming weekend, and I am now in ninth place. Top five get a payout. Who would have thought the underdog story, man? I just need one more good week, and I might make some money on the playoffs.
That's how they hooked you with, you know, the just getting into the league, and now they've got the hook right in your mouth with the playoff, right? That's how they get you. They come back
Hey,
for next year.
it can happen for anybody. I think like ten events into the season, I was in like 38th place out of 40. And then when the playoffs started, I was 19th out of 20 that actually made the cut. And now I'm in ninth. So we're working our way up. We just got to get one more week.
Guess who didn't make the playoffs?
I wasn't gonna call you out like that.
It's okay. I've said it multiple times in our group chat for golf. So,
I am curious though. I do want to call someone out. Did Trent make the playoffs? Trent's been on our podcast a few times.
um, I don't know. I'd have to look. I'm actually
Okay.
not sure. I know Kyle didn't, because
No.
Kyle and I finished. I was second to last in the first event, and he was dead last.
Yeah, and Kyle had a really good season. So he just
Yeah.
he got cold at the wrong time.
Yeah, same. I mean, it happens. That's how fantasy sports go. But the only other thing I was going to mention with this one too is just be curious to see with the Ryder Cup. You know, does Cam Young have a shot or not? This for this coming
Hmm.
year. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
We'll talk a lot about that when it gets closer. But is there 12 people per team, and it's like the top six automatically get in, and then the captain chooses six?
yeah, something like
I
that.
know that from talking to Andrew. I did not know that on my own, but Andrew, who's been on this podcast, was telling me about the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, those captain choices are the hardest. I'm sure. With for Keegan Bradley, it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's ranked 10th in Americans, and so
who
that have to
is?
be pretty. Cam Young. So he is in the top 12, but it depends on the captain's picks.
Yeah. Yep. That's the hard part is the captain's got to make the choices and it's not always based on their quote unquote ranking. It's sometimes fit, culture, you know, do they get along with other people? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So
Abs-
the last story we wanted to talk about was one that I had to bring up, and I know I texted you about this, but something very interesting happened in WWE. Was it this past week? Was it
It was
yesterday?
yeah, it was Sunday.
Sunday.
Just a couple of days ago from the time we're recording this.
So give us a little bit of the backstory. What actually happened? Because I only saw this part of it. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's more to the story.
Well, this past weekend was WWE's SummerSlam, which is they call it the biggest party of the summer. It's supposed to be like their second biggest event of the year behind WrestleMania. I personally think Royal Rumble might be better than SummerSlam, but that doesn't matter. That's
Mhm.
irrelevant. This was the first time they had a 2-night SummerSlam event. So it was basically a pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, but it's on Peacock. They had an event Saturday night, and then an event it's a second night of it was on Sunday night. And there was pretty big surprise endings on both nights. There was a Money in the Bank briefcase cash in on the first night, so a title change. And then the second night, after a championship match with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, who are two of the most popular wrestlers in the world right now. John Cena got famous this year for his heel turn, right? Like he turned into the bad guy. But Friday night, he kind of switched back to what they call a face. He became the good guy again. And then Sunday, he came out and he was the John Cena of old. It was very nostalgic. Him and Cody Rhodes put on one hell of a match. It was one of those matches where every time there was a pin, I don't find myself this way very often anymore, but I was finding myself rooting for a kick out because I didn't want it to end. Like I was just like, I don't want this to end. Keep going. And so it did go on for a long time. Cody Rhodes actually won and took the belt away from John Cena. And then then the big surprise happened. Brock Lesnar, his music hit, and he returned to WWE, and he has been gone for a long time. I want to say like maybe 2 years now.
Mm.
Um, and the reason that is important, I think there's a couple of things to talk about with that. The reason Brock Lesnar's been gone is that his name was included in a lawsuit against Vince McMahon for some pretty serious charges. I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but it had to do with, like sexual trafficking and harassment and just some crazy, crazy shit. Brock Lesnar's name was included in the lawsuit, although the person who introduced the lawsuit said that he didn't do those things to her and that they've never actually met before.
Hmm.
The reason he was included was because it sounds like Vince McMahon tried to use this woman to like give favors to Brock Lesnar to convince him to re-sign with the WWE, which is like super messed up.
Oh,
But
yeah.
because his name was named originally, they cut ties with him. We haven't seen him in I think it's literally been 2 years.
Mhm.
Recently, he's been cleared. The lawyers cleared him of all charges. His name, while still appearing in the court case, he is not a defendant. There are no charges against him, and there apparently have been charges against him. And so I guess WWE said, okay, well let's bring him back. It's pretty controversial because of what he's been through with that lawsuit. Although it sounds like maybe lawsuit is focused on Vince McMahon and not Brock Lesnar. So we've seen some pretty mixed reactions to the return, and I think that's what we want to talk about tonight. There are the nostalgic diehard fans that are so excited to see that Brock Lesnar's back. He's one of the biggest stars in our generation. He's been a beast. He's beaten people up for decades, both in the WWE and in the UFC. So yeah, it's a big shock return. He came out and he kind of dominated John Cena, and who knows where the storyline goes from here. But there have been a lot of mixed reactions, a lot of I would say some funny ones, some serious ones, some negative ones. But yeah, Dave, I'd be curious to kind of hear what your take is on that as someone who maybe hasn't been kind of in the loop and in the know of all the WWE stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the incidents and the, accusations, and I did watch the Vince McMahon documentary. I think I'd mentioned it to you. I'm trying to remember. Did you watch that one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Recommend that too for anybody because it's not all happy, but it has a lot of history and meaningful moments in the history of wrestling in general, not just WWF.
Yeah, so I watched that, and then I was kind of looped into just some of the stuff that you had talked about with the allegations and all that. So I thought it was very interesting just in general. I mean, when those types of allegations are made and how serious things are. And, obviously, like, if they're true and, people are involved in that, that's like super sad and unfortunate that,
Mhm.
people do that kind of activity, or use money and favors and all these types of things. But obviously, we know that it unfortunately happens, in certain areas. But yeah, I mean, I think just in general, it's very similar to. And we didn't talk about this since I think it was during the time off, but when Goldberg made his return, I think a few weeks ago. So it's
Mhm.
very interesting of the timing because I feel like Goldberg and Brock Lesnar are, like, similar-ish like, they're not the exact same, but they're similar genre characters, right? They're, like, big
Yeah.
brutes who just throw people and are super powerful and, like, just beastly, that's just kinda like their character, and so when I saw it happen, I think I was just scrolling, Twitter or something like that or X, and I saw it and I was like, "No way," it was, like, shocking to me because I thought he was banned because of all that stuff, so I didn't really realize those details that had happened,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I can definitely see people on both sides, reacting one way or another. Again, I'm a fan of, if things are cleared up and, they have pretty good evidence that there was no actual nefarious things happening. Like, bring the guy back. I mean, he's popular, just
Mhm.
like Goldberg. Like, it's cool to see. Everybody goes crazy. Saw some funny reaction videos that maybe we can retweet or share as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and we will. We'll tweet some funny reactions to it. There's, like I said, a lot of positivity, a lot of negativity, a lot of humor. I think at the end of the day, my main takeaway from this is that he is not a defendant in the case, and I don't think he ever was. His name was included just because of some rationale against Vince McMahon. But it turns out even the victim in this case said that they've never met before, and I think she may have sent him like a picture or a video, but it was a consensual thing. So I mean, we'll never know the truth in these situations. I try not to spend too much time talking about them, but it was a big moment for WWE, a big shocking moment, and certainly one that was very polarizing that affected a lot of people in a variety of ways.
Yeah, for sure. I think we just had two other quick things that we wanted to mention. Number one, I'll just mention it because I think it's more of just kind of an FYI. But Happy Gilmore 2 was released on Netflix just a couple weeks ago. I actually did watch it. I don't know if you have or not, Scott. So I'll let you answer that first to see if you had
Yeah,
any
no,
thoughts.
I wish I could contribute to this. We will probably watch it this weekend.
Okay.
We were gonna watch it, like, the day before Raven left town, and it didn't work out, and then I just figured, "Well, we'll wait. When she gets back in town, we'll watch it."
Yeah.
She's traveling for work again this week, so,
Yep.
I mean, you know that,
I
but
was gonna say I just saw her a couple days
yeah.
ago.
So,
um,
yeah, we'll probably watch it this Saturday or Sunday is probably on the short list of things to do this coming weekend.
Okay, well, maybe we can talk more about it then. But for anybody out there that has watched it, let us know your thoughts. Did you like it? I've seen a ton of mixed reviews. Some people love it, some people hate it. Um, I liked it generally. I thought it was funny. I thought it had a lot. It had like 70 or something cameos from all sorts of different people, ranging from like Eminem to um, Kid Cudi, there's so many different people that were in the movie, which I thought was actually pretty cool. But yeah, well, I think we can talk about it more too when you watch it. We can go into detail. But the other thing we wanted to talk through was, this is something that we actually did talk about. I think it was during playoffs when there was some controversial issues with first downs with the Bills and some of the playoff games. But
Mm,
apparently the NFL is now implementing the first down technology, which includes, no more chain gang. So they basically have, from my understanding, it's a bunch of cameras that are now going to essentially be quote unquote replacing the chain gang. So they're going to be able to measure where the ball is in relation to where the player was down. So just in general, what do you think of this? I mean, it's kind of interesting that, we were talking about it and then now fast forward and it's a reality now.
yeah, it is an interesting thing. We covered it when it happened, when the Chiefs lost to the or excuse me, when the Chiefs beat the Bills, and I think we were both in agreement that there's probably some room to increase technology in this game. It's not 1940 anymore, and the NFL has changed dramatically since chain gangs were implemented. And when we get more and more competitive as a sport, we need to be more and more accurate with what we're, making rulings on. So overall, I would say I think I welcome the change. One thing I will point out, it's not the chain gang has not gone away entirely. They might not
Yeah.
have been there in the preseason game, but they will still be on the field. They're going to serve more as a secondary role now, though. And this, I forget what they call it, but these cameras, the technology is going to be kind of the primary way that they determine first downs.
Yeah,
And I
you're
will
right.
say,
You're right about that.
go
Sorry, I don't know why I said they're going away. I was more of like the concept.
well, they might be going away, but they're not gone yet.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, I have a feeling they'll kind of just fizzle out as the technology improves. We'll still see them for a while, and when the technology proves reliable, we'll probably won't see them anymore. But
Yeah.
I think that's a welcome change, in my opinion. And one thing I will say from the videos that I've seen, because they did use it in the preseason game last week, is it looks pretty freaking cool.
Oh
You
yeah.
get such a clear picture of how close they are to a first down or how much they got the first down by. And I think it just adds like a whole new level of clarity for how much an inch really matters in the game of football.
Yep. Yeah, they're using 6 8K cameras, and it's called the Sony Hawkeye is like the technology name I think you were trying to think about.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Um, all right, so I think that's it for the weekly recap. So next we're gonna move on to a transformed segment. I think we're gonna call this one fan favorite. So these are more of like an interactive, basically we want to get people we want to get people involved here and have them, kind of play along at home as we'll call it. So we're going to start this out with one that we have actually done in some of our golf specials, and I think we both agreed that we really like this type of segment. And so essentially, I think we just call this one this or that. So we're going to run down a list of players. So we have two of these for tonight, and for those of you at home, feel free to play along and see or tell us what you agree with or what you disagree with. But we're going to do early Super Bowl pick or early college football and excuse me, early college football champion pick. So I'll let you pick, Scott. Which one do you want to answer?
Um, Let me do the Super Bowl pick one because I can see the order of things here, and I know that I'll be very biased when it comes to football. I can't turn that off. College football, I mean. So yeah, let me do the Super Bowl one.
Okay, that's fair. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Yep.
All right, he's on the hot seat. So early Super Bowl pick. Bears or Cowboys?
Hot take: Bears.
Wow. Bears or Green Bay?
Definitely Green Bay.
Green Bay or the Steelers?
Definitely Green Bay.
Ooh, Green Bay or the Broncos?
Give me the Broncos, man. They have a high trajectory, I think.
Broncos or Rams?
I'm gonna get hate for this. Give me the Broncos.
Broncos or Ravens?
Ravens.
Ravens or Lions?
Ravens, I think. Yeah.
Ooh,
Ravens.
Ravens or Chiefs?
Ravens.
Ravens or Bills?
Uh, I hate that I'm about to say this, but Ravens. Ravens.
Wow. Ravens or Eagles?
Ravens.
And lastly, Ravens or Commanders?
Your Super Bowl champions this year, the Ravens.
Wow. There you go.
Who who would you choose from that list just to name one team?
Uh, um, I picked the Bills.
That's who I want to win. I just feel like I think things are gonna align for the Ravens this year, but I
Yeah.
want the Bills to win.
I could see a few of the teams in that list, but I'd probably pick the Bills because I feel like now that they have the first down technology, there's no more excuses. So
Fair enough.
we'll see.
Hell yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna give you an early prediction for the college football championship this year.
All right.
Uh, Boise State or A&M?
Give me A&M.
A&M or Indiana?
I like A&M.
A&M or Florida?
Uh, I still say A&M.
Ooh, okay. A&M or Michigan?
I'm gonna get heat for this, but A&M still.
I don't blame you for that. I'm disappointed, but I don't blame you. That's the pick that I would have had to make, and I would have ridden out through the rest of this. So A&M or Illinois?
Illinois.
Illinois is a sleeper school this year, man. I think they could be good.
Hmm.
Illinois or Arizona State?
I think Arizona State.
Okay. Arizona State or Clemson?
Arizona State.
Arizona State or LSU?
LSU.
Yeah. LSU or Bama?
LSU.
LSU or Penn State?
Penn State.
Penn State's good this year. Penn State or Ohio State?
Penn State.
Absolutely Penn State. Penn State or Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay. Georgia or Miami?
Georgia.
Georgia or Notre Dame?
Georgia.
Georgia or Oregon?
Georgia.
Georgia or Texas?
Give me Texas.
Okay. You think Texas wins it all this year?
I mean, here's the problem. I'll give you with it, okay? They're going in, I believe, preseason ranked number 1, and they have to play Ohio State the first week.
Yep.
If they beat Ohio State that first week, I think that completely sets a tone for the year, and I think if they get over that hump, they're gonna be very tough to beat, especially with Arch Manning at quarterback. Like, I think that dude is phenomenal. I know we're not doing the Heisman stuff tonight, but I would 100% put him on the Heisman watch, like,
Yeah.
pre early pick for Heisman.
I can't argue with anything you said. It's all valid. And I think if I had to make a pick today, I would say Penn State, but I don't like to pick number ones. I just feel like there's too much pressure and they eventually crack.
Yeah. No, that's my only concern is if they go in preseason number 1, that's the hardest thing is to maintain that. But, I mean, you've seen, like, Georgia and Bama, have
Yep. Teams have done it.
preseason number 1s, and then they end up being, like, number 4 or something at the end and winning. I will say, I know we'll talk about this later, but, Oregon does go to play at Penn State this year, and it's on that one weekend of, like, September
Ooh.
27th where there's all the crazy games, so
Uh-huh.
that's gonna be a very interesting, game to see what actually happens since it's a Big Ten championship rematch.
Yikes. Yeah, that will be crazy.
It'll be a tough game on the road, so
Well, hey, let's get into there's something that came out that's generated a lot of buzz. DraftKings released a tier list that a lot of people have been upset about.
yeah.
It had it had Joe Burrow at the top and then Patrick Mahomes, but then it had some crazy stuff. Like
Mhm.
it had, Josh Allen as a C and Lamar Jackson as a D. It had people like gosh, I can't even remember. It had people who are not good quarterbacks like above. It had JJ McCarthy above Lamar Jackson, which
Oh.
JJ's never even played a snap in the regular season.
Hmm.
What people didn't realize, well, hold on, let me say, people are pissed because it's a shitty list until you read the fine print.
Oh.
What people didn't see is it said, "What are we ranking?" at the top. It was a question, and it turns out that list was ranking the over under for passing yards this season. So only passing yards, not looking at any other stats. And then it starts to make a little bit more sense. Those are the gambling odds. It kind of makes sense. I would agree probably with a lot of things on that list.
Hmm.
But it gave me the idea, Deep, and we talked about this today. Well, why don't we just do a quarterback tier list for real and just base it upon true talent of the quarterback? Don't think about fantasy football. Don't think about anything like that. But let's just think like, what quarterback would I want on my team in real life?
Hmm.
That work? You want to run through that?
Yeah, let's do it.
I will tell you, I borrowed a tier list that I found on just the tier maker website.
Yeah, that's fine.
It had a lot of extra quarterbacks who are backups on here, so I just put them into their own row called not starters.
Okay.
And we're just going to focus on the 32 starting quarterbacks. And I think we take turns like we've done before on tier lists.
Okay.
But I think we move through this. I don't think we
Yeah.
labor it a lot. Let's just get it done.
Yep.
And see what it looks like at the end.
Yeah, gut reactions.
Cool. Okay. I wish I could
Wait,
make this-
Shedeur Sanders is not a starter?
That's your
Um,
first take there. Yep.
Never mind. Okay, continue.
All right. You can go first here. Which column are we putting Sam Darnold in? Playing for the Seahawks this year.
Give me B.
B. Okay. Nice. Trevor Lawrence. Oof. I'm gonna put him as a C, man. He hasn't proven anything to me recently.
Okay.
What do you got Tua at?
I think he's a C above Lawrence.
Okay. If he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is health.
Ooh, Justin Fields. Speaking of guys that haven't proved anything to me lately, we're not looking at fantasy points, so I'm not going to give him the advantage of having the rushing upside, and I'm going to put him as a D.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe Flacco.
C above, between Tua and Lawrence right
Damn.
now.
Okay. Big hater of Lawrence. I kind of like it.
I mean,
I'm going to put Jared Goff up in A. He's had a hell of a career. These last couple of years have been great.
yeah.
Where do you got Cam Ward at? Rookie.
Right now I got to put him after Trevor Lawrence because I just don't know. He's a rookie, right? So we don't know what
Yep.
we don't know.
That's fair. Herbie, Justin Herbert, I am going to put in front of Sam Darnold up here in B for now.
Okay.
Got Jalen Hurts.
I think he's gonna go in the A. I mean, he just won a Super Bowl. Uh, it's
Behind
hard
or
to
up in front
argue
of golf?
against a guy that wins a Super Bowl.
True. We're at in a golf.
After golf.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm putting Lamar for now at the beginning of A. He might move to S when we get to the end here.
Okay.
Jordan Love, what do you think?
I'd say B, probably between Herbert and Darnold.
I like that. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's hard to argue with his success.
Yeah,
You can say what you want about referees, but this man is shaping up. He's on a trajectory to be the greatest quarterback of all time when it comes to achievement. So he's got to be in the S.
that's fair.
Drake May. Where you got May at?
Um, C above Tua, like number 1 in C, just because I feel
Okay.
like he's getting better, but
Yeah.
some of it's his team, so it's like,
He had a good end of the season with a really bad team. Maybe his team is better this year, so maybe he'll be better. I
yeah,
agree. Baker Mayfield. Ooh. I might catch some crap for this, but I'm going to put Mayfield actually. No, I'll put him behind Herbert. I was thinking about putting him above him.
yeah,
I
that's
know.
fair.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, he's had some issues in the past, but I mean, he's been playing pretty well, generally speaking.
Yeah. Where do you have JJ McCarthy?
I got to put him at a C as well, probably next to Cam Ward, maybe above him, just because again we haven't seen him. So
Yeah. I mean, he might as well be a rookie as well, right?
yeah,
He's in a much better situation there, but from a raw talent situation, who knows?
yeah, and some people might give a shit for putting Justin Fields below them, but like Justin Fields is trash. Get out of here, is what
And
I'll
we're
say
not
to them.
talking about fantasy football either. Like we're
No,
talking
yeah,
about who do you want to be your actual real life quarterback. So that's why I would put Fields lower.
yeah.
Um, I like that reaction. What about Kyler Murray?
Oh, that's
Or is it
you.
my turn?
Yeah,
It's
it's
my
you.
turn. Um, I'll put Kyler above Flacco. I'll put him above Tua. I think Kyler's better than he's been recently.
Yeah, he used to be
Um,
really good. It's weird. It's almost like he got worse.
yeah,
I don't
yeah, I
know.
don't know.
Didn't he get hurt
Bo
though?
Nix, he did. Yeah, I think he had a couple injuries in his career. So
I would put Bo Nix between Herbert and Baker.
really,
Yeah, I mean, he's very talented. I know he's only had 1 season, but I think he's gonna be a top 5 quarterback this year.
I probably would have put him after Jordan Love, so not too far away from where you put him.
Yeah, definitely in
Um,
B. Where he's at, you could
yeah,
probably argue.
yeah, no, I agree. What about Michael Penix?
That's you.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Damn. I mean, I think Penix goes right there, right before Joe Flacco. I mean, we didn't see a lot from him. There was some signs of promise, but still lots of losses.
Yeah, we haven't seen
Uh,
enough of him either.
Jaden Daniels, where's he go?
I think he goes in B right in front of Bo Nix.
Okay, I respect that.
Like, he's on the up and coming. He had a great season, but he's, again, only 1 year, so
Yeah,
I think he has a ton of
Dak
potential.
Prescott. Oh, I'm not a Dak guy. I'm trying to be objective here.
Also, somebody told me this week that I look like him.
I mean, you guys have the same beard. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I think that's all it was. I was like, okay,
I, I'm gonna put him ahead of Darnold. Yeah, I'm gonna put him there for now.
that's fair. I mean,
Oh,
he
you
gets
got
hurt
Brock
all the
Purdy.
time.
There's a lot of controversy around Brock Purdy. Where do you put him?
Um, Above May and C.
Okay,
I don't
I
know.
think
I
that's
mean, I
reasonable. I
just
mean,
think he's in C in general. You could probably argue where he goes.
we've only seen him play with a team full of superstars on offense, right? Like we don't really know how good this quarterback actually is, but he did just get a huge bag. So congrats to him.
Yeah, he's okay. I mean, I don't think he's bad. I think he's more of like a systems quarterback.
Yeah, I'm putting Spencer Rattler after Fields. I think this guy's not good. In fact, actually, I'm gonna put him as an F. We need an F.
Wait, isn't Tyler Shucks not starting?
I think right now Rattler's technically ahead on the depth chart, but who knows what the hell's going on in New Orleans.
Yeah, they're gonna have a rough time at QB.
You got my boy here, Josh Allen. Where's he going?
Well, here's the thing is like, I mean, I would maybe consider him or Lamar maybe even an S. So it's like hard for me to put him in S if
Well, let's
Lamar's
just
an
put
A.
Lamar in S.
Yeah, I would put
I
him
think,
in S.
yeah, I think Lamar should be an S.
Yeah, I'd put him in S. I don't care where. I mean, he just won the MVP, so
I mean, I would put him here.
he's up there. I mean, he's 1, 2, or 3. I don't know which one, but
Yeah. Richardson, Anthony Richardson. I think I'm putting him after Fields.
yeah, he might not even be starting.
Yeah, for now, he's barely holding on to it.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, where are you going to put him at with his new team?
Oh my god. He's in C. He's probably by Joe Flacco. I
Before,
don't
right?
care where. Probably before.
Okay.
Realistically, I don't know. Yeah,
All right. Geno Smith. Our C is too long. We're going to have to move some of these people around a little bit.
yeah,
That's okay. We can do that. I think I'm going to put Geno right after Darnold.
that's fair.
No, I think I'm going to put him after Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I think Purdy's better than Geno.
How about you move McCarthy and Ward to the front of D just because we haven't really seen them play, to be fair.
Yep.
So like they
That's
could be really good. We haven't I don't know. We're just going based off of college for now.
Yep. And we can also move some people up to A and S. We'll just see how this all shakes out.
Yep.
But you have Matthew Stafford. Where's he going at? And in 2025, where's Matt Stafford?
I think he's at the front of B
I know
or
you're
low
saying
A. I mean Herbert and him, I could see even both of them maybe even skirting the line of A or B.
CJ Stroud. Am I crazy if I put CJ there and C? I think he was amazing as a rookie, but he wasn't nothing. He wasn't that special last year.
Yeah, a lot of his receivers were hurt, so he's kind of in a weird scenario.
I mean, he had Nico Collins and Tank Dell for most of the year. Tank got hurt at
Yeah,
the very end.
I don't know. I'm wondering if he just had a weird year, but yeah, I mean, for now, I see him in the line of B or C until he proves otherwise.
Okay. Caleb Williams. Oh gosh.
Not a starter.
I know it's not fair that you're the one getting Williams because I know how much you hate on him, but where's he going?
Put him above Trevor Lawrence and C.
Oh, Trevor's just getting kicked over here.
I mean,
I got Russ. I'm putting him right there. Just barely above Richardson.
yeah, I mean, he used to be good, but he's just outdated.
Yeah. All right. You got Young. Where's he going?
Uh, right now, he's got to be a D for me. I feel like he's getting better, but
Mm-hmm.
I would put him above McCarthy for now because like he's on the uprise, but he's got a
Yep.
lot to prove still.
And then I got Joe Burrow. He's an S for me. It's just a matter of what S is he.
Yeah,
I think I put him after Mahomes as much as I hate to do it.
yeah.
No, you know what? Screw it. This is our tier list. I'm putting him ahead of Mahomes.
Listen, I don't I could see Herbert and or what's his name? Stafford being an A. I don't know. Like
Well,
those guys
let's
do
just
ball out.
even these out a little bit now that we can.
I feel like those guys ball. They've been proven for many years. Like, Herbert's a little younger, but I mean he's pretty
We'll
solid.
even these out a little bit just to make this more symmetrical.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep them in the same order, but I'm just going to even them out a bit. Which it's actually kind of crazy to me that we're putting Trevor Lawrence in D, but
I think he belongs in C though, to be fair.
I mean, but you got him behind all these other guys.
Yeah. He has potential. I mean, I don't think he's like absolute dog. It's just he's been hurt. I don't know.
Is this our list then? Is this what we're going with?
Yeah.
Should I move Stroud to B to make this more symmetrical?
He can be a B. I mean, people might argue like Geno Smith plays better than him, but I don't,
Well, only for one season though.
that's what I'm saying. It's hard to go off of.
Cool. Hey, listen, that's it. We'll take our hands off. We said we would do it quick. This was our knee-jerk reaction, and we're going to stick to what we got here. And that's our tier list for quarterbacks, our early predictions for the best quarterbacks in the year 2025. The people we would build a team around.
Hell yeah. Well, make sure you don't exit this. We can take a screenshot. We can post it.
Absolutely. Yep, we'll hold on to that. But what's next? What's next for the old
But up
agenda here?
the halftime pour.
Ooh,
So we're gonna show you what we're gonna do this a little differently this season. We kind of talked about a couple things we want to add in here. So I'm gonna tell you about what we're drinking. What what's the average cost? The proof. We'll give you some tasting and smelling notes this season. We'll give you a rating out of a scale to 100. So 100 being the absolute best. And then we're going to do the question of the night. And the other thing we're going to do is we're actually going to keep track of some of this information when we do these. And so we're going to do some posts and have a basically like a tracker so that we can provide people with some recommendations on social media and in other different resources for the future. So,
yeah, we're only going to rate things that we do on the podcast, and so this list will grow over time. But if you have never drank bourbon and are curious, it'll be a running list for you to kind of refer to when you want to go buy something.
all right, what are you drinking?
So tonight, and this is not a new bourbon, but for the start of this new project, I'm going to drink it for the last time on the podcast. This is the Dry Fly Bourbon 101. And the 101 is the proof. That's why it's in the name here, which means it's a 50.5 alcohol content. This one is an interesting one. It's only aged, if you can see it, it's only been aged 3 years. So most bourbons typically are aged a little longer than that, although certainly doesn't disqualify it from being a bourbon. And I would say it's an interesting thing because typically the longer something's in a barrel, the more oak you might get on the nose and then on the palate when you're tasting it. And I would say for the nose, that's very true. I get more kind of like dark fruits and a little heat whenever I smell this. But when I taste this, I get a lot of like black pepper, a little bit of oak, and then it still tastes some kind of fruity. I can't really tell what kind of fruits it tastes like, but it still has that spice. Like it tastes like it's got like a pepper spice. It still does taste oaky, even though it's only been barreled for 3 years. It's delightful. It goes down very easily. It's average price. I found it for $40. A Google search told me it's usually between like 38 and 42, so kind of right there in that sweet spot. And yeah, it's not too hot. If you're not a bourbon drinker, it's not going to like destroy your palate, but it's also not too smooth either. So it's got flavor, and even though it wasn't aged very long, it does kind of slap a little bit.
Anything on the
So
smell?
yeah, the smell is just kind of like I can't even like identify what it is, but it's like fruit flavors.
Fruit?
It almost smells kind of sweet.
Okay. So some sweet.
Yeah,
You said
it's
fruits,
hard to
black
define.
pepper, and oak. Those are kind of the main
That's like the stuff I taste. Yeah, the
taste.
smell is just kind of like sweet fruit. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and
And
so if I had to rate this,
yeah,
I do typically like high proofs, and obviously, I mean, and I think most people who are into bourbon like things that are aged a little longer. So those will be my knocks on this. I think it some of the flavors, while I had to kind of I think about what it tasted like, they're not as vibrant and pronounced as flavors in bourbons that are aged a little longer. So if I put this on a scale of 100, especially considering the price with it only being $40, I would probably rank this like a 70 out of 100. Um, I did Google search this because I was curious, um, and other people have rated it higher. Some people have rated it in the 80s. It sounds like his average rating out of 100 was actually like 88,
wow.
so higher than I gave it. But that's coming from someone who enjoys sipping on bourbon from time to time here, and I would give it a 70. It's worth the buy,
Nice.
but it's not something I'll probably go buy again.
Hell yeah. So mine is going to be Wild Turkey Private Select Single Barrel. It's about a 9-year-old bottle from my calculations. This is from the distillery, from the visitor center. So,
Nice.
can be a little more challenging to find these, but you can probably find general single barrels out there if people have them. It is distilled by Wild Turkey, and the proof is also 101. So we're both drinking 101 tonight. I think on average, from what I was seeing, these are about like in the $70 to $75 range. So kind of a medium, mid-priced bourbon relative to, I think, the average cost of some of the bottles out there. For me, when I When I give this a nice smell and taste, I get a lot of like caramel, or some people would say caramel, depending on how you pronounce that. So definitely has like caramel, a little bit of brown sugar. So it's kind of more that like almost like walking into a home where someone's baking like cookies or something like, they're baking. Like that's kind of what the smell reminds me of. On the taste, it's very smooth. Not one that's gonna kill you in terms of proof. Again, I think kind of like those almost like baking spice notes, a little bit of the sweetness, but yeah, that almost like that caramel slash brown sugar is the best way that I would describe this one. In terms of if I had to pick up some notes, rating for me would be, I'd give this one like a 85 out of 100. I think it's a very solid bourbon. It's one that I would definitely drink over and over again, and if I found this out there in the wild, I would definitely grab it.
Nice. Hell yeah,
So,
that's a good
solid
rating.
pick for me. So, we do have a question of the night. So Scott, what is your favorite mixed drink with bourbon and or rye in it, and why?
Ooh, that's a loaded question because it does go kind of back and forth for me. I would say if I had to tell you just more frequently what my bourbon mixed drink of choice would be, it's going to be an old fashioned. I think you can never go wrong with an old fashioned. If you get the ratio right with the bitters, and then you've always got to add,
Yeah.
the orange to it. I think that really makes a big difference. You can't go wrong with that. I would say sometimes I do enjoy like bourbon sours as well.
Mhm.
But let's just stick to the old fashioned because that's what I'm usually in the mood for.
Okay.
How about you?
That's a pretty crowd favorite. For me, if somebody can perfect a whiskey sour, the ones with like the egg white on the top and just has like a really good consistency and, mix of sour, that's probably going to be my favorite of those. I really like old fashioned, some of the other ones, but I've had a few really, really good whiskey sours in my day, and those are going to be, I think, some of my favorites.
Do you remember that whiskey sour from the piano bar?
Yeah, I do. That was disgusting. It tasted literally like like Gatorade and bourbon. I don't even know what that was.
Something was off with that ratio.
That was absolutely disgusting. But there's your halftime pour. So cheers, friend.
Cheers.
All right.
Let's do a call out. So we're
Yeah.
gonna do something different moving forward here, where we call out a fan of the week, what we call a fan, just whoever engages with our social media, and we're also gonna call it a hater of the week when relevant. We haven't been posting a lot in preparation to the episodes kicking back up, so we actually don't have a hater this week. But if you guys disagree with us, feel free to let us know. We'll certainly feature your takes on the podcast. But our fan of the week actually came from the bearded sensei, who's a guy that we've known for quite some time. And his question to us was, and came from a Twitter post, I think, who would you rather take in the Super Bowl, Jennifer Lopez or the Dallas Cowboys? And then it said that Jennifer Lopez has had 5 rings since 1997, and the Cowboys have had zero.
That's amazing. That's very troll, but thank you, Bearded Sensei, for your humor and for interacting and being our fan of the week this week.
Hell yeah.
And looking forward to crushing you in the college football dynasty league that we're running.
Oh, fighting words.
Oh man. All right,
Let's
single
make some
barrel
picks, man.
picks.
This week, the picks are going to be a little bit unique. We've done many different formats for single barrel picks in the past, but I really wanted to introduce the PGA FedEx Cup playoffs because that starts this week. And you've gotten me into golf. And so I was excited to talk about this. And I thought, why not talk about it during the picks section?
Yeah.
So my research and a phone call with Andrew have taught me that, and I knew this first part, that the top 70 players in the PGA Tour take the field this week for the
Mhm.
first week of the playoffs. There's no cut, so after the halfway point, nobody gets cut from the contention. But after the top 70 finish this week, their points are added to their season totals, and then the top 50 players for the whole season totals, including this week, will advance to the next week in the playoffs. Same format there, no cut. Points get added to the season totals, and then the top 30 advance to the final week of the playoffs. Now, a new rule this year. If you guys have watched playoff golf before, I haven't, but it sounds like it's kind of boring in the past. It used to
Mhm.
be that based upon your standings, you would get an advantage going into the last week. So imagine like, Scotty Scheffler starting like 8 under par, and he's never going to lose that tournament because he's too good of a golfer to give up an 8 stroke lead. The new rule this year is going into the final week with that top 30. Everybody starts at an even playing field. They all start at even par. Doesn't matter what position they were in from 1 through 30, as long as they were in the top 30, there's no advantage. So that should make for a really exciting finish. I feel like that's going to really change the game to cap off the golf playoffs. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, Dave. I know you've watched a lot more golf historically than I have.
No, I think it's a welcome change. Like you said, the problem with how things were set up in the previous years were if you had somebody who was just really solid, like Scotty or maybe even, a Rory, etc., who are just good, really good or very consistent or can be consistent, like they just had such an advantage when it came to this, starting out with the X amount of stroke lead, that it just kind of made this whole playoff thing not really as watchable and not as fun. So I do actually like this change, and I'm curious to see what happens if this does actually improve it, or they're going to have to maybe tweak this at all. But I think they're on the right track. So definitely excited to see the changes go into effect.
Yeah, I think it will be fun. And like I said, the thought that anybody could win, I think, is the most exciting thing.
Hmm.
But there's also been some strategy that's changed as a result of this because you don't get an advantage based upon your final placement in that top 30 position. Some golfers have decided not to even play in the first week of the playoffs because they know they're guaranteed to stay in the top 30 regardless of the outcome of the next 2 weeks. So for example, Rory McIlroy is not playing this weekend and he's currently ranked second place in all of the golf, in the whole PGA tour. And so it will kind of introduce some new strategy, I think, where, some golfers, when they're hot, they want to keep playing, they want to stay hot, they want to stay in form. Rory apparently thought an extra week of rest wouldn't be a bad thing for him, and I think he's planning to return for the second week of the playoffs to kind of get back in the session there and be prepped for the final round. But interesting take there. I don't know. Maybe that is a detriment to the golf playoffs that not even all the best players are playing in the first week of the playoffs. But I guess they're still going to be in the finals, so you're still going to have the best players in the end. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on skipping the first week of the playoffs?
It's kind of like having a first round bye, in my opinion. Like if you are in that top whatever it is and you're pretty confident, like sometimes you will have a little bit of that advantage. But like you said, golf is a game of consistency and momentum. So, if you haven't been playing well, could maybe knock you out in the future weeks. So we'll see what happens to Rory.
Yeah, and I will just say conversely, the number one guy in the world, Scotty Scheffler, he is playing this week, so it's not the same strategy for everybody, that's for sure.
Yep, definitely.
One thing with this format I wanted to talk to you about, Steve, is obviously the people who are currently in the top 30, they have the best chance of staying in the top 30 because it goes upon all season totals and not solely based upon the next week or two. So there's a couple questions I want to ask here. Knowing that the people in the top 30 will all start at a level playing field, let's first talk about the people that are outside of the current top 10. Who do you think has the best chance of win from people who are not in the top 10? Um, you know, it, there's a lot of names there, but kind of focusing on maybe that like 11 through 25 range. If you've got any names that kind of stand out to you, I'd be curious who you feel like they have a chance to win in the final week of the playoffs, knowing that they have an even kind of playing field with whoever is in the top 10.
Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, no one on the like obviously Cam Young is on the list because he just won, so that's kind of recency bias, but I don't know. I mean, like, that Goddard up guy has been really surprising to me, but it was a lot of it, I think, was the courses that, they were playing overseas and he was doing really well. Not to say he hasn't continued to play well, but I was wondering if he would have like this momentous push at the end. Um, he's one that I would be curious. I don't know if he has a chance to win it, but maybe he'd be like a top five. That's kind of surprising, or maybe it would be surprising to people. But I think I still think Ludwig Oberg. he's a solid player. I know he hasn't really won any, like, he hasn't won any of the majors. Obviously, he's competed in a few of them, but I do think the guy has a really bright future, and so I would say he's probably likely to be in the top 5 or could be in the top 5 if I had to pick someone. And then, I mean, Morikawa is such a solid player, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's potentially in contention out of this list.
Yeah, I mean, Oberg's in 14th place right now, and Morikawa's in 19th. I think they're certainly in contention. I love Goddard. I'm glad you brought him up. I think he was in 22nd. He
Yeah.
is, yeah. Just checked. Um, and I think the intriguing thing about this is that at the end of the day, as long as they stay in the top 30, it really doesn't matter what place they're in right now.
Right.
And with that knowledge, the guy who's been the hot hand right now and that I've really liked watching play golf is Goddard. I think that's the guy that I think might have a chance to break through.
Yeah.
I love Oberg. I think that he could do it. He's the kind of golfer that any given weekend he plays well, but and then on a random weekend he'll completely fall apart. And so,
Yeah.
fortunately for them, if as long as you make it to that last weekend, it's just one weekend of golf. You just have to show up that one weekend. So it could
Yeah.
really be anybody.
He just has to figure out his putting. Honestly, if,
Yep.
like, if his putting is on, he's lights out, but
Yep.
the putting has been struggling, so he needs to figure some of that out this
Yep.
year and then moving into next year.
So conversely, I wanted to ask you, looking at players that are currently outside of the top 30, who do you think has the best chance of making it and being competitive in that last week of the playoffs? So let's look at people not in the top 30 right now. Who do you think has the best chance of getting into that top 30 and actually competing in that final week? And there's a lot of people that are within 100 points, which
Yeah.
for those listening, if you win one golf event, I think it's 500 points you get. So a lot of people could make a leap, but only so many people can win. There's only 2 events until that final week.
One of the guys that I like is Michael Kim. I think he has played pretty consistently this year. If you look at some of his, especially earlier on, I think he was playing better. Like, he played pretty well with the players, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he's one that could rise up and potentially, pop into the top 30. Ryan Fox is another one that, kind of came out of nowhere. I think he might have
Yeah.
won. It was either him or Gerard. I don't remember which one it was. That
Fox won.
Okay.
Fox has won 2.
Okay, yeah. So it was Fox that has won a couple, and he's been a solid guy overall. So I could definitely see him making a little bit of a rise. And then um, I'm really surprised by this, but I mean, Xander Schauffele is 42.
Yeah.
For a guy that won 2 majors last year. I know he kind of had some issues with injuries, so I don't know if he's still just struggling with that, but I don't know that he would get into the top 30 the way he's been playing, but I could see a guy like Harry Hall or, Akshay Bhatia rising up to getting
Mm.
into that top 30 because both those guys have also been playing pretty well this year.
Yeah, and those 2 are about 250 out. Xander's about 200 out. I could Xander's the guy I want to see make it. I want to see him there at the end. If I had to make a wild card pick, I think Akshay is always a nice wild card pick.
Yeah.
And I'll just follow up on Michael Kim. That guy, he's very active on social media. He really reports a lot of his golfing.
Yep.
Really good follow on social media. And I think he had a back injury earlier this year where he might have missed a couple of events and then he missed a couple of cuts when he was coming back. But he's been pretty consistent lately. So who knows? Maybe he'll be able to make up that distance, but he's going to have a ways to go to cover that gap.
For sure.
Cool. Well, outright winner. Who's your early prediction to win the FedEx Cup outright?
Um, I mean, I'd be a fool not to say Scotty Scheffler, so are we gonna count him? Or do you wanna say anyone except Scheffler?
I mean, let's say anyone except Scheffler or McElroy, because that'd be kind of
Okay.
like those are the
Okay,
confidence,
no,
right?
I feel like that's fair because, yeah, those are the really easy ones to say. Outside of those 2, I like Tommy Fleetwood, man. Again, I know he still has not won, but, I mean, we saw this past weekend, like, Cam Young was able to break through. I
Yeah.
could see a time and place somehow where Tommy Fleetwood breaks from 9 to, number 1.
I mean, he has no wins this year, and he's still ranked ninth overall. That just goes to tell you that he's been very competitive, very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Would
gonna
you?
go with a I'm gonna go with a wild card here, man, and I already said it. I'm gonna go with Goddard. I feel like if that dude keeps hitting the ball straight and keeps hitting it hard, he can win at any course.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been doing that in these past month or two. He's been very consistently hitting it hard and straight. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll get clowned for that. He's in 22nd place, but he's my pick. I'm
Yep.
going for it.
That's fair. So one of the follow-ups I wanted to give you for a stat for Tommy Fleetwood, he has 139 events, so a little bit more than Cam Young, but not too many. I mean,
Hmm.
he's a little bit older. 39 top tens, 0 wins.
Holy
He's
cow.
never won yet on the tour, and he's made almost $31 million.
Jeez. And one thing worth noting, just talking about the money, whoever finishes first place in the FedEx Cup gets $10 million.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right. You ready to do a 2-minute warning?
I think so. I think we dive into it. This is a fan favorite here.
Okay.
Give me a second while I just go ahead and pull up our timer, our
Yeah.
trusty old 2-minute
So
timer.
pretty much, yeah, this is going to be pretty similar to how we've been doing it. We just kind of go back and forth, rapid fire with some outrageous questions. Give you guys a little bit of entertainment here as we round out the last couple sections of the pod. But Scott, you want to ask the first? You want me to ask the first one?
Yeah, I can ask first. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, you're on the clock. Let's go. It is, would you rather take a Mike Tyson punch to the ribs during your wedding or guard Steph Curry in a Borat onesie at your high school reunion?
Probably guard Steph Curry in a Borat onesie because Mike Tyson, if he punched me, I would probably die. Let's be honest, even though he's old, that would yeah. Would you rather be chased by Derrick Henry down a grocery store aisle or try to juke Ray Lewis out on an icy driveway?
Oh, definitely get chased by Derrick Henry for the same reason you just said. If Ray Lewis hit me, I would die. I mean, have you seen his big hits? His hit collage is insane. All right, would you rather caddy for Happy Gilmore at Augusta or be Tiger Woods' personal porta potty cleaner for a season?
I would definitely rather caddy for Happy Gilmore. I'm not cleaning shit, even if it is the goats. Like, all right. Would you rather have to wrestle a gator on ESPN2 or arm wrestle Aaron Donald every day for a year before breakfast?
I mean, I don't think arm wrestling Aaron Donald is going to kill me other than my self esteem. So I probably would do that rather than a gator. Yeah, I don't know. Being on ESPN2 would be fine. If it was on ESPN1, I would probably do the gator.
Oh,
Would you rather be tackled by a sumo wrestler in the 100-meter sprint or play ping pong with Serena Williams using frying pans?
ping pong for sure. I'm not trying to tackle during a sprint by a big guy. Jeez, a lot of violence in this one. Would you rather block a Zdeno Chara slap shot with your bare thigh or take a penalty kick with a bowling ball?
Give me the bowling ball, dude. Zdeno Chara hits the puck so freaking hard, man. At least with the bowling ball, if I miss, like whatever, I'm not gonna break a leg. I don't know.
You might
that
break a leg.
well, I guess that's true. No, I don't want to. I do not want to take one of big man's slap shots. Absolutely not.
It's fair. Well, that's
Okay, well, that was the 2-minute warning. Wow, those were some quality questions there. I was having a difficulty containing my laughter to even read some of them.
well, we're trying to be a little more outrageous this season, so that's part of the theme. It's time for
Yeah,
the last call.
success.
So this is essentially where, just like at the bar, it's time to kick everybody out and say goodbye. So Scott, what do you have for the last call?
Yeah, I just want to say we're fresh look, fresh merch, fresh season. We're back. But there's still a lot of the historical goodies too. The heart and core of this podcast hasn't changed. We're just really working on making things a little bit more fun and exciting for everybody, including ourselves. And so continuously you'll see us kind of adapting and evolving, but we always want to hear from you. It's a lot more fun when other people are involved in the conversation. So check out our stuff on social media. Feel free to comment on these videos that we post on YouTube and Spotify. And until next time, thank you for listening. It's really good to be back. And we've got a lot of really fun stuff coming up here as we go into a new season of sports.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm really excited and happy with the refresh. I think you and I have come up with pretty good listing of various things we're going to throw into these episodes moving forward. So you're going to see things about fantasy sports, you're going to see, weekly awards. There's a lot of ideas and things I think we've come together and curated so that we can mix things up and give you guys a little bit of variety with some similar consistency to what you saw in the past, but definitely adding in some of that variety to make it more fun, exciting, and hopefully give you a little bit of laughs at the same time. So looking forward to it. Anybody out there, again, singlebarrelsports.com, if you're interested in checking us out and the merch, please check out the merch store and let us know if you have feedback, you want products, you say, hey, you have this, but it's not available in X, or hey, you really should, put this in your store. We definitely would love to hear that and appreciate any of the support that you all can offer for that. But until next time, friends, episode 30, we're out.